Hey guys, it's Bob and I'm back with another video, and in this one I want to talk about keeping up momentum with sketching. Now, all the art in this and the video itself were posted early on the Patreon, so here are the short time lapses of what I'm doing. And there's 6 of these that I did, but I'm just going to run the full time lapse of the first one, but I did do a total of 6 of these. So with sketch momentum, what I mean is you're always doing something, maybe not even necessarily sketches, I suppose just momentum. You want to always have something to be working on. Now, with concept art, generally when you are working on multiple things, you want to work on all of them at the same time so that it's not 1, 2, 3 sort of separately, because then you get a little bit of a break in between, and I find that sort of method very helpful to apply to just generally getting more projects done. So my first bit of advice would be to always have more than one thing in progress at any time, so that if you finish one, you don't have that blank slate where you have to go back to a blank canvas and start something. If you have something partially finished already, you can hop back over to that and maintain that momentum with something where you know what direction you're going in, and it's very easy to jump back into, which is, as I mentioned, something you want to do with concept art, so you can switch between things and keep stuff going and kick that work out fast. And that applies to what I'm doing here, because now that I've jumped into the longer time lapse, you can see that I'm doing lots of sketches, and some of them are the ones that I end up picking later, and you will have seen in those short time lapses at the start. So because I have those half finished, or at least started, I have something on the canvas that I can go and grab and come back to later. They're not perfect, but I can see what I've got and I can jump back into them, which is actually my second bit of advice, which is if you want to work on something like this, say you want to find a cool pose or you want to find some cool perspective, do a sheet like this and see which ones you come up with, and don't use them on the same day, or don't choose one to finalize on the same day. You can always come back to it, or you can go and do multiple. I definitely would not have done as many of these and completed as many of these if I did not do that sheet of sketches initially. If I was to just do the sketch and then go and tidy it up and be very fussy about the way that that sketch was turning out, I probably would have done half, maybe like 3 of them, because that would have taken me longer. But because I have this whole sheet of rough sketches that I can look through and think, well, I can do better than that sketch looks, I can easily improve that by just drawing it again and going over it. It made it so much easier to go and do more of these, and I started enjoying them and enjoying picking out which ones I thought I could improve, or which one would be the biggest challenge for me to do. So it's like I've built myself a small library I can go and refer back to if I want something to draw. And I know people tend to have an issue of, oh well, I'm not skilled enough to draw this thing that I want to draw yet. But imagine if you just sketched it anyway, and then you didn't come back to it for a while, so that you could maybe go and improve a little bit. Maybe you would want to do it sooner and come back to it. You could do the sketch, just do it very rough. You know, do a little sheet like this, come back to it later, see if you want to tidy them up then. And then at least you have something to refer back to. No one has to see those sketches, and it might give you a bit more confidence to want to go ahead with your ideas, because it's very, very easy if you go and look at your old art of your own, even if it's not that old, if you've just had it sat there for a week or something, and go, I can very easily improve on that just by going over it again. So you can see as I'm tidying this one up, that's basically what I'm doing, is I've chose this sketch that I think will be good as a pose for this character. I'm trying to make them purposefully very bendy, and I'm going over it. You can see how it's different from the rough sketch that was underneath. I've moved some things around, you can see in the process, and now I'm starting to clean it up more technically. Another one would be to be aware of what sort of artwork you want to do. So sometimes you want to study in a more technical way, sometimes you want to draw a finished piece, but those can feel very restricting after a while if you don't include studying in a way that is sort of experimental. or just playing around, looking for different new art that you like, trying to see what it is you like about it, and just looking down some different alleyways. I find that when I do that, I start to get a lot more interested and excited to go on these little sightseeing ventures, I suppose, where I learn about different styles and different artists and what they do and why they do it and why they like it. And I'll pick up on some flavour from that, and it will start to leak into my own work. And that will start to encourage you to see your own stuff from a new perspective and new possibilities for stylization and the types of illustrations or drawings in general that you want to do. It might give you links to new pieces of media that you hadn't heard of that are within the range of things that you enjoy. I've been doing that a lot lately, stumbling across new things, new movies, new books. And I consider that sort of like going out on a harvest to see what I can find. I'm going scrumping in the idea orchard. Next, related to the other ones, is to go through your old art and see the progression. And I think I've mentioned this in a few other videos as well, but this is a really good bit of advice, or I consider it to be, because you get to see your progression. And if you do have that issue with, oh, well, I'm not good enough to do this idea yet, I need to study more, I need to improve before I can pull off something like that, maybe you do. Maybe it is going to be something you need to study specific things to be able to convey well in the art that you want to do. But going back through your old stuff and seeing the amount of improvement through it is going to give you a really big confidence boost, especially if you go in and do something like this where you find an old sketch and you think, yeah, I can redraw that and make it 10 times better now because this sketch is maybe a year old. I can do way better than that now. And that is an instant uptick in confidence. Actually, you know what? I dare you guys to do that. I dare you to go and find an old sketch. I want the date on it, or at least the year that it's from, and I want you to redraw it and show me the comparison. Post it on Twitter and at me. What am I? Bab Illustration? B-A-B and then illustration is my art. Just loop me on there. I want to see what you guys do. Another one is to stream. Or if you don't like streaming, to record what you're doing so you can reference back to it later, and also so you can time yourself. I've found that very useful, mostly because I do commissions and I need to time what I'm doing to make sure I can do stuff in a reasonable amount of time and get it completed to deadlines and things. Or that will also help you if you want to say, oh, well, I want to do this many of this thing over a certain amount of time. I need to keep to a schedule. I want to make a comic or something. So if you start doing that, that will give you a taster of what it's like to be accountable to something like that, which can be really, really helpful to get an overall idea of how something like that will play out, how that's going to affect your time and how you need to schedule that time in the future. I find it very helpful with streams as well, actually, to work those in when I can with commissions, because it gives me that sense of time and progress as well, and also keeps me accountable because people are watching, and when people are watching, it's difficult to stop drawing. You want to keep drawing because people are watching, or they might be watching. Even if you don't have anyone watching, you want to keep going just in case someone shows up. Because what, are you gonna look like lazy? You're just sitting there not doing anything with a blank canvas and, you know, someone might turn up. You don't know. That might not be something that is helpful for you, but it has been very helpful specifically for me. And again, it's something that's very uncomfortable when you start out, but if you can work into it slowly, that can be a huge help. A less aggressive version of that could also be doing draw piles with people or doing art trades, swaps. I've done projects before where you will swap line art with someone and then you each colour each other's line art. So even small things like that you can do with other people where you are on the hook to do part of a project can be very helpful to keep you moving. To mirror a lot of these other ideas as well, you can go back and look at your older influences that you have gathered through the years, what you used to be really interested in that you've maybe dropped off of having any interest in as you've grown up. Maybe like old TV shows, old like kids media that you were interested in. Like, why did you like it as a kid? Why did you start liking other things instead? Was there a development through that? Are you still interested in some kind of aspect that was there in the very early stuff that you liked? I almost think of this like going back and making little plots on a graph so that you can see the overall trajectory that your interest in different media is taking you to, because most of the time it's going to point you in the right direction. It's going to give you a better idea of what it is that you like, and then again that will lead you onto more things that are similar that you might not have explored yet. That is a whole thing I have been going through lately. So I've gone back through a lot of old stuff, like, oh, why did I like this? Are there certain themes or genres here that I enjoyed then that I could keep looking into now? Is there new media that is in that direction that I'm just not aware of yet, or haven't been to before and is like earlier than the time period that I was around? So I'm checking down these different avenues that I haven't been to before. With looking at some of this old stuff I used to enjoy, I've come across some of it, not realizing how much it's influenced stuff that I have been trying to make. I have been laughing out loud because of how similar some of it is. Some of it really wormed its way into my brain and did not leave, and I had no clue about it. So that was a very interesting little dig that I went on. I found out a lot, and I've been pointed in some new directions, and I'm really excited about drawing right now. You basically want to play at making one of those little red string boards with the pegs and the red string. You want to make one of those in your head of all the things that you like. Or hell, even make a literal one. Make a literal one. Copy paste some pictures and text into a file, make a big dump of the styles that you like. That is actually a big part of what I was doing in one of my Patreon tutorials, actually making a big mood board of stuff and then seeing what direction I should go and develop my style in because of it. So that's basically that whole process. Following on from that idea too, if you plot out the past points on that graph, it gives you the idea of the trajectory that you are going into. So you get an idea of what directions you could go in with that. You get an idea of where you are now if you want to correct your course. So you can start to think about what different places you want to go with your art in the future. So are the goals that you have in line with that trajectory? Are they off? Do you need to go and look at some other things to do that? Can you send yourself down another road of inquiry? Something you can also do is to make drawing itself a treat. So maybe you go outside and do it somewhere comfy. Go and sit in the woods, go and sit in a cafe, have a sit down. Have a fun time. Just be in a nice environment drawing. Don't make it a chore. Make it something that you look forward to and enjoy. Kind of Pavlov yourself into it being a fun time. Literally Pavlov yourself. Use little treats to make yourself enjoy it, because it can be difficult when you're maybe not sure what to draw, you don't know what you want to do, maybe you are stuck with a blank canvas and you don't know how to start. But if you start giving yourself little treats and having a fun time while you're drawing, and if you stop while you're having fun, actually, you will associate it with fun and you will think, oh, I want to go and do that again. Literally Pavlov yourself. This also sort of works in with streaming as a motivation to keep doing stuff and keep working on things and to not chicken out halfway through almost, or run away if you are in a position where you can't run away because you're running a stream. If you do stuff like this, you will slowly get used to it and it will become more fun. So that was something I had a lot of trouble with initially and had to work my way up to streaming as much as I do or did, or kind of am getting used to again. I tend to use a lot of tricks like this that are more psychological to make it more agreeable to my brain, to try and get it to behave in a way that I want it to, so that I can get the work done that I need to. So if you start looking into that, you will come up with other ideas for how to trick yourself into wanting to do stuff and to achieve your goals. I have really had to work very hard on this with writing. I would do, for example, a little bowl of cereal for when I do my writing, and I figured out that actually the noise from crunching the cereal is like white noise and it helps me to think. So eating snacks while I do it is literally a treat, and also the white noise of crunching on something helps, which sounds a little bit strange, but as I've done it, I've got very used to it, and when I do my writing I'm like, oh, I get snacks now, that's good. A final thing that is a bit more practical also is to maybe try new pens, try a new brush, and you're either going to learn how to use a new tool or a new medium if you decide to switch to a new medium to try and explore, or you're going to get so aggravated with that new medium you'll remember why you use the other one that is normal for you and you will want to go back to it. So either is good depending on what you're trying to aim for. Maybe finding out that a different medium doesn't work for you is very good. It's going to make you more interested in the other one that was starting to become a bit stale or you were very used to and didn't really appreciate just from being mired in it constantly. So any sudden contrast like that will help you appreciate what you have. So a good example of that is I will have my week off in the summer and I'll have my week off in the winter, and during that time I do not touch the computer, I do not touch the digital tablet. I will leave it absolutely alone, and then when I come back to it, I'm very thankful that I have it. It's like getting a present because I've been away from it for so long that my brain has kind of adjusted to not using it for a little while. And then coming back to it, I readjust to it and I see it as it is. It's sort of like when you leave your house for a while and then you come back and you can all of a sudden smell what your house smells like because you haven't been in it for a little while. So it's like having something new, and you might not be able to have that time away like that, but if you do get the opportunity, so you have to go away and do something, sometimes that break can really help. Okay, and there we go, we're done, and we are back to these short time lapses. I'm thinking about putting the longer time lapses for all of these because I do have a full video of all of them on the Patreon, so that might be something for the future. But yeah, I hope that helped. Thank you for watching. I did go a little bit off my trajectory that I was planning on with this video, but I hope my tips were helpful nonetheless. Give it a like if it helped, share if you think it'll help someone else, subscribe for new videos when I have them. There are links to everything down in the description, commissions, prints, Patreon, all the stuff. Yeah, thanks for watching, goodbye!